Have you ever wondered why your presence feels heavier than your words? Why, even when you say nothing, people react either drawn in or quietly unsettled? Why your life seems marked by pauses, detours, and inner questions that refuse to go away? Let me ask you plainly, what if your impact does not begin when you speak, but when you arrive? What if the influence you carry has nothing to do with position, money, or titles, but everything to do with who you are becoming? And what if the reason you've struggled to explain yourself is because your assignment was never meant to be explained? It was meant to be felt. Chosen one, this moment is not noise. Something inside you recognizes that your presence alone carries weight. You've seen it play out in small, undeniable ways. You walk into a room at work, and conversations shift, jokes stop, energy changes. You didn't ask for authority, yet it follows you. Some respect it, others resist it. Think about your workplace. Maybe you are not the loudest voice, but when you speak, meetings quiet down. Or perhaps you are overlooked for promotions. Yet co-workers come to you privately for clarity, advice, or reassurance. You might ask yourself, why do they listen to me but not reward me? Because influence and recognition rarely arrive at the same time. Influence comes first. Now consider your finances. You may not always feel secure, but notice this: people around you trust your judgment. They ask you about investments, decisions, or life direction, even when your own situation feels unfinished. That paradox can frustrate you. Yet it reveals something important. Wisdom often flows through unfinished vessels. At home, within your family, you may be the emotional stabilizer, the one who absorbs tension, the one who senses conflict before it explodes. You didn't volunteer for that role. It found you. And while it can feel exhausting, it also shows that your presence carries regulation. You calm storms simply by standing still. This is not accidental. There is a difference between being noticed and being felt. Many chase attention. Few carry presence. Presence is what remains when words fall short. Presence is what exposes truth without accusation. Presence is what makes others confront themselves. Let me ground this with a simple situation. You sit quietly in a cafe, working or thinking. Someone nearby strikes up a conversation, unprompted. They overshare. They open wounds they didn't plan to reveal. You leave wondering, why do strangers trust me so easily? Because something in you signals safety and depth. That signal is rare. But here's the tension: you may have tried to shrink that presence. You've told yourself to be quieter, simpler, less intense. You've tried to smooth your edges to fit environments that were never built for you. Yet every time you dim yourself, life feels duller, heavier, misaligned. Let me ask you directly, what part of you have you been suppressing just to keep others comfortable? This message is not here to inflate your ego, and it is here to restore your clarity. Presence is not superiority, it is responsibility. And responsibility always comes with pressure before it comes with peace. There is hope here, real grounded hope. Imagine a future where you no longer apologize for your depth, where your work aligns with your inner authority, where your finances stabilize not through fear, but through discernment, where your family dynamics shift because you stop absorbing everything and start standing anchored. That future does not require you to become someone new. It requires you to stop abandoning who you already are. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Read that slowly. So known, set apart, appointed. Your impact did not begin when you achieved something. It began before you arrived here at all. This explains why you feel out of sync with shallow conversations, why meaningless routines drain you, why you crave depth even when it costs you comfort. You were not designed to blend in. You were designed to stand as a signal. Here is a moment to picture tomorrow. You walk into the same environment, but you no longer doubt your presence. You listen more than you speak. You move without rushing. You do not explain yourself unnecessarily. And somehow people respond differently. That is not magic. That is alignment. That is... Now answer this honestly, what would change in your life if you stopped underestimating the impact you already carry? If this awakened something in you, though, do not brush it aside. Acknowledge it. Stay with it. And if you feel led, like, share, or subscribe not for validation, but as a marker that you are choosing awareness over distraction. At the end of this section, comment 111, a sign that you recognize your presence is not accidental, and you are ready to carry it with intention. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to announce yourself. No, you only need to stand. You don't need to force your influence or chase validation. The impact you carry will reveal itself naturally. In timing you cannot rush. When you stop striving and start standing firm, doors open without explanation. Hearts shift without argument, and your quiet authority becomes undeniable to those who are meant to see it. So walk forward with calm confidence. Let your presence speak before your voice does. You were not placed here to compete for attention, but to anchor truth in unstable spaces. And as you remain grounded, you will notice this truth: your stillness is not weakness, it is power under control. You have always carried more than others could see, not because you were careless, but because life trusted you with weight early. While some were protected from pressure, you were shaped by it. And even now, you may struggle to explain why exhaustion follows you even after rest, why responsibility seems to find you without invitation. Let me ask you something quietly confronting. When did you first realize you had to grow up faster than everyone else? Was it when you learned not to ask for help? When you became the listener instead of the one being listened to? Or when you discovered that strength was expected of you, not offered to you? From the outside, people may describe you as strong, reliable, or mature. But inside, you know the truth. Strength was not a personality choice. It was a survival skill. You learned to hold things together while others fell apart. You learned to think ahead, to calculate consequences, to absorb tension so others wouldn't have to. This weight followed you into adulthood. At work, you are often given more responsibility without being asked if you can carry it. You notice deadlines, risks, and details others ignore. When things go wrong, eyes turn to you not because you caused the problem, but because you are trusted to stabilize it. That trust feels honorable, yet heavy. You go home tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Financially, you may have felt pressure not just to provide, but to prevent collapse. You think long-term. You worry quietly. You plan for emergencies that may never happen. You rarely splurge without guilt. And when money is tight, you don't panic loudly, you internalize it. That internalization becomes a silent burden. In your family, you may be the emotional container, the one who hears everyone's problem, the one who keeps peace, smooths conflicts, bridges generations, and you sense moods before words are spoken. You anticipate explosions before they happen. And sometimes you wonder, who carries me when I get tired of carrying everyone else? This is where misunderstanding often enters. People assume you are unbothered because you appear composed. They don't see the internal load you've normalized. They don't realize that what looks like calm is often discipline, and what looks like confidence is often endurance. But here is what you need to understand. This weight did not crush you because it was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to build capacity. capacity to lead without ego, capacity to empathize without losing discernment, capacity to stand steady when environments shake. There is a quiet dignity formed in people who have endured unseen pressure. You can recognize it in how you respond to chaos, not with panic, but with clarity. You don't rush decisions. You pause. You observe. You choose carefully. That didn't come from comfort. It came from training. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 66, verse 10. For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver. Refinement is not gentle. Silver is not purified by comfort. It is placed into fire until what does not belong rises to the surface. The heat is not punishment, it is process. And the one who controls the fire never looks away. Let me give you a very ordinary moment. You are driving home after a long day. Traffic is slow. Your phone buzzes with another request. Someone needs advice, help, or reassurance. You sigh, not out of resentment but fatigue. In that moment, you may ask yourself, why does everyone lean on me? The answer is not that you are weak, it is that you are stable. But stability without boundaries becomes depletion. And this is where hope enters, not as a vague promise, but as a practical shift. You are learning. Even now, that strength does not mean saying yes to everything. Maturity includes discernment. Carrying weight does not require carrying it alone forever. There is a future version of you who still carries authority but not exhaustion. A version who delegates, who rests without guilt, who understands that saying no does not erase their value. That future begins when you stop confusing responsibility with worth. Here is the deeper question for you: what weight are you still carrying out of habit? Not assignment. Some burdens were seasonal. Some roles were temporary. Some expectations were placed on you by people who never asked if you consented. And it is not betrayal to release what was never meant to be permanent. You are not here to collapse under pressure. You are here to master it. The same life that tested you also trained you. And the weight you carried quietly is the very thing that prepared you to stand publicly without breaking. You are not behind. You are not fragile. You are forged. What you endured did not drain you without purpose. It carved depth into your character and clarity into your judgment. While others rushed, you learned patience. While others reacted, you learned restraint. That slow shaping is why your decisions now carry weight and long-term impact. Soon, you will notice a shift. Situations that once overwhelmed you will feel lighter, not because they disappeared, but because you changed. Your capacity has expanded. What once felt heavy now feels familiar, manageable, and even empowering in quiet, grounded ways. So stand without apology for the strength you earned. You were not hardened by life. You were refined. And as you move forward, you will recognize this truth clearly: the weight you carried was never meant to break you, only to prepare you for what others could not hold. Before you try to change the room, you must learn to guard what is happening inside you. This is where many people with influence fail, not because they lack power, but because they leak it. They walk into environments already stirred, already reactive, already carrying yesterday's noise. And then they wonder why the atmosphere overwhelms them instead of responding to them. So let me ask you something practical in confronting what usually controls your inner climate before the day even begins. Is it your phone? Your workload? Other people's emotions? Old conversations replaying in your mind? Chosen one. The truth is simple but demanding: you cannot lead an atmosphere you have not first mastered within yourself. Think about a normal morning. You wake up, immediately check messages, news, notification. Within minutes, your nervous system is hijacked. You haven't spoken a word, yet your inner world is already crowded. Then you step into work, family, traffic, conversations, and you wonder why patience runs thin so quickly. Guarding your inner atmosphere starts before reaction. It starts with intention. Here is a concrete practice before engaging anyone: co-workers, clients. Family. Pause for 10 seconds. Breathe slowly. Ask yourself, what am I carrying right now that does not belong in this moment? Anxiety, frustration, anticipation. You don't suppress it, you acknowledge it, then choose not to project it. That single pause changes everything. At work, this looks like entering meetings grounded instead of rushed. You listen more carefully. You respond instead of react. When tension rises, you don't absorb it, you stabilize it. People may not know why they feel calmer around you, but they will. Financially, guarding your inner atmosphere means refusing panic-based decisions. When bills, expenses, or unexpected costs arise, your first response is not fear, it is clarity. You sit with the numbers instead of letting them sit on your chest. This discipline keeps you from choices that relieve pressure short-term but create regret long-term. At home, it looks like not carrying workplace frustration into family conversations. You may still be tired, but you are present. You don't dump stress onto the nearest person. You create emotional safety simply by being regulated. That alone changes relational patterns over time. Let me give you a familiar situation. Someone speaks sharply to you, passive-aggressive tone, unnecessary comment. Old, you might have internalized it or fired back later. But now, because you guarded your inner space, you recognize the tone without absorbing the poison. You respond calmly or not at all. The exchange ends quickly. Power preserved. This is not passivity, this is precision. There is a reason your presence affects environments, but influence flows from containment. If your inner world is chaotic, your outer influence becomes unstable. If your inner world is anchored, your presence becomes corrective without effort. The ancient words recorded in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Speak directly to this above all else. Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Notice the order above all else, not after success, not after fixing others. First, guard the source. Guarding your heart does not mean isolating yourself or becoming emotionally distant. It means becoming selective. Selective with inputs, selective with conversations, selective with what you rehearse in your mind. Here is another practical instruction: choose one daily reset point. It could be your commute, a short walk, a quiet moment before bed. During that time, you intentionally release emotional residue from the day. You name it, then you let it go. This keeps accumulation from becoming heaviness. Another example in conversations. Stop filling silence out of discomfort. Silence is not weakness, it is space. Space allows truth to surface. Space allows others to reveal themselves. When you are comfortable in silence, you control the pace of interaction without force. Let me ask you directly, what would shift in your life if you stopped reacting and started regulating? Hope enters here, not abstract hope, but visible change. You will notice fewer emotional hangovers, clearer thinking, and stronger boundaries without harshness. People will trust you more, not because you explain yourself better, but because you feel safe. And yes, there will be resistance. Some people benefit from your unguarded state. When you stop absorbing chaos, they may feel exposed. That is not your problem to solve. That is a sign you are doing this correctly. Here is the encouragement: you do not need to fix every room you enter. Sometimes the assignment is simply to remain steady. Light does not argue with darkness. It displaces it by existing. Now I want to anchor this section with a response not long, not complicated. At the end of this section, comment "I stay anchored." That short phrase is not a slogan, it is a decision. It means you are choosing inner stewardship before outer influence. It means you are done leaking energy into environments that cannot contain it. You don't change atmospheres by force. You change them by carrying peace without compromise. I stay anchored means you choose stability over impulse. You decide that no comment, delay, or unexpected pressure gets to steer your emotions for you. You pause. You breathe. You respond from intention, not from irritation, fear, or the need to defend yourself. I stay anchored also means you recognize that peace is something you carry, not something others owe you. Even when circumstances feel unstable, tight finances, family tension, workplace stress, you refuse to let the outside dictate the inside. You remain grounded while life moves. And finally, I stay anchored means commitment, not perfection, but practice. You will be tested daily, sometimes hourly. Yet each time you return to center, you strengthen that anchor. Over time, others will feel it and unknowingly adjust themselves around your calm. Joseph was not marked by rebellion. He was marked by revelation before he ever wore chains. Before he stood in foreign halls, before betrayal matured his understanding of human nature. He was simply a young man entrusted with a vision. He dreamed not to elevate himself, but because heaven chose him as a carrier, and that alone made him a target. The first resistance to Joseph's calling did not come from enemies. It came from family, from brothers who shared his blood but could not share his sight. From a home that should have been a place of covering, yet became the first place of conflict. This detail matters deeply because many listening to this recognize the same wound. You were not opposed because you were wrong. You were opposed because you saw something others did not. You spoke with clarity when others were still comfortable in confusion. And instead of asking how you saw what you saw, they questioned why you spoke at all. Let me ask you directly, who shifted toward you the moment you stopped shrinking your vision? Joseph's brothers were not threatened by his actions. They were threatened by his future. His dreams confronted their self-image, and rather than rise to the level of vision, they attempted to bury the dreamer. This pattern has never stopped. In daily life, it shows up quietly. At work, your ideas are met with subtle resistance, not open rejection, but delay, sarcasm, silence. You sense it in meetings when your suggestions change the tone of the room, not because you dominate, but because truth carries weight. In families, it looks like this: you choose healthier boundaries and suddenly you're accused of distancing yourself. You pursue growth and you're told you've changed. You stop tolerating dysfunction and you're labeled difficult. Joseph heard those labels long before he ever stood in authority. Here is the truth many don't say aloud. Being marked by vision often isolates you before it elevates you. Joseph's pit was not an accident. It was a separation point, a line drawn between those who could go with him and those who could not. The pit did not destroy his calling, it protected it from contamination. And you need to hear this clearly: some relationships cannot survive your obedience. Not because obedience is wrong, but because familiarity resists transformation. Picture a normal modern scene, a family gathering. Laughter fills the room, but it feels shallow. Old patterns resurface. Complaints loop endlessly. You sit quietly. When you speak with depth. The energy shifts. Someone deflects with humor. Someone changes the topic. You feel the pressure to soften, to dilute, to retreat. Joseph felt that pressure too. But here is the hope: the same God who allowed the pit was already arranging the palace. Joseph's story did not stall in betrayal, it moved through it. What looked like rejection was redirection. What felt like loss was placement. Not everyone who pushes you away is blocking you. Some are unknowingly positioning you. There are seasons when obedience costs you closeness, when clarity costs you comfort, when staying true costs you applause. These losses feel personal, but they are structural. They are shaping you for rooms where your integrity will matter more than your popularity. The ancient words recorded in the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20. Speak with surgical precision, you intended to harm me. But God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done. The saving of many lives. Joseph did not speak those words lightly. He spoke them after years of injustice, discipline, and silence. And notice he did not deny the harm. He acknowledged it, then placed it inside a larger design. That is maturity. In real life, this looks like continuing to do your work with excellence even when recognition is delayed. It looks like choosing character when shortcuts would be rewarded. It looks like guarding your heart when people misunderstand your quietness as weakness. Joseph learned leadership in confinement, administration in obscurity, discernment under pressure. By the time authority reached him, it did not intoxicate him because humility had already trained him. There is a future version of you who will look back and finally understand why certain doors closed early, why certain voices faded, why being set apart felt like being set aside. That understanding does not arrive in the pit. It arrives later when alignment replaces confusion. Let me ask you the question that defines this section. Are you willing to carry the vision even when it costs you familiarity? Because being marked does not mean being shielded from resistance. It means being entrusted with endurance. As this moment settles, imagine this not as a demand, but as an image. Like a traveler who quietly places a stone on a path to mark. I passed here and recognized something true. Some gestures are not loud, they are intentional. If this story walked beside you rather than spoke at you, you may feel drawn to leave a gentle mark of recognition, like pressing a seal into soft wax. Not to announce agreement, but to remember the moment. And if you sense this path is one you want to continue walking, not alone, not lost, then choosing to stay connected is like deciding to travel with a compass instead of guessing directions in the dark. There are also times when light is not meant to be hoarded. Passing the flame to someone still searching is not noise, it is stewardship. Quietly, faithfully, without explanation. Some choices are not shouted, they are recognized. And like Joseph, you will discover this truth in time. Being marked does not make life easier, it makes it meaningful. There comes a moment when silence becomes louder than words. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of authority. This is the quiet that carries weight, the kind that makes rooms uncomfortable and truth unavoidable. If you are here, you may already feel it. Your voice has softened, but your presence has intensified. This section is for those who learned restraint through experience, not theory. You were not always this measured. There was a season when you explained yourself too much. You clarified intentions that never needed explanation. You defended your heart to people who were never truly listening. And over time, something shifted. You realized that every unnecessary word was costing you clarity, energy, and peace. So you stopped explaining. Not because you became cold, but because you became discerning. Let me ask you directly, when did you realize that silence protects you better than self-defense ever did? In everyday life, this shift is unmistakable. At work, you no longer jump into every discussion. You don't correct every misunderstanding in real time. You let consistency speak. You allow results to outlive rumors. While others rush to control perception, you focus on substance, and slowly, authority begins to follow you without announcement. Financially, this maturity shows up as quiet discipline. You stop broadcasting plans, you move without validation. You build in private, while others talk about money. You learn how to manage it. While others spend to be seen, you invest to be stable. Silence becomes your shield against comparison and pressure. Within family dynamics, restraint becomes even more powerful. You stop engaging every emotional trigger. You don't react to provocation. You choose peace over proving a point. At first, this unsettles people. They were used to your reactions. Some push harder. Others accuse you of distance, but eventually the dynamic changes. Calm that cannot be manipulated becomes respected. This is not withdrawal. This is governance. Chosen silence is not weakness, it is self-command. It creates boundaries without walls. It allows others to reveal themselves without interrogation. When you stop filling the space, truth steps forward on its own. Consider a simple, familiar situation. Someone criticizes you unfairly in a meeting, a message thread, or behind your back. The old impulse was to respond immediately, to defend your integrity. But now, you pause. You say nothing. Time passes. Facts emerge. Narratives collapse. Your restraint does what arguments never could. This is where hope becomes tangible. You are no longer emotionally exhausted by every interaction. Your energy lasts longer. Your thoughts stay clearer. Your nervous system begins to rest because you are no longer leaking power through unnecessary engagement. But understand this level of restraint was forged, not gifted. It came from disappointment, betrayal, and lessons learned the hard way. The ancient words recorded in the book of Proverbs, chapter 17, verse 27 and 28, reveal this wisdom clearly. The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Read that slowly. Restraint is not absence of thought, it is evidence of it. This is why your silence unsettles some people. They were accustomed to accessing you easily, used to provoking reactions, used to shaping narratives through your emotional availability. When that access disappears, discomfort follows. Not because you changed, but because control did. Let's bring this into real life. Imagine a workplace where gossip circulates freely. Accusations, assumptions, side conversations. You listen, but you don't contribute. You don't defend yourself publicly. You remain consistent. Weeks later, leadership sees who stayed professional and who didn't. Silence spoke on your behalf. Or picture a personal relationship built on emotional volatility. Arguments once defined connection. You step back. You stop reacting. You don't chase closure. Suddenly, the dynamic shifts. The other person must either grow or move on. Either way, peace returns to you. Here is the deeper truth you're stepping into. Your silence is not absence. It is presence under control. People may mistake you for being distant. They don't realize you are simply selective. Selective with words. Selective with emotion. Selective with who has allowed access to your inner world. Let me ask you a question that requires honesty. Who benefited most from your lack of boundaries? That answer explains why your growth feels uncomfortable to others. There is a future forming where your quiet authority becomes undeniable. You will be trusted not because you dominate conversations, but because you are consistent, not because you react quickly, but because you see clearly. People will feel safe around you not because you agree with them, but because you are grounded. This is not isolation. This is leadership in seed form. As this section settles, anchor it with intention, a number that represents structure, stability, and foundations being laid quietly beneath the surface. At the end of this section, comment 444, not as superstition but as alignment. It signals that you choose restraint over reaction, that you understand silence can be strength, that you are building something solid where others only make noise. You are no longer required to explain yourself to every voice. You are allowed to protect your peace. And when you speak again, it will be because it matters. The number 444 represents structure and order forming quietly beneath the surface. It speaks of foundations being reinforced, systems aligning, and inner stability taking shape before visible results appear. When you choose 444, you are affirming patience, trusting that what is being built in silence will stand firm under pressure. More deeply, 444 reflects commitment to discipline and consistency. It is a reminder that true authority is not rushed and not loud. By aligning with this number, you are choosing to grow roots before branches, character before recognition, and endurance before expansion. There is a point on this path where hesitation becomes dangerous. Not dramatic, not loud, but subtle. It shows up as delay disguised as wisdom, comfort disguised as peace, and familiarity disguised as safety. This is the stage many never talk about, because it doesn't look like rebellion, it looks like waiting too long. You feel it when you sense a next step clearly, yet keep adjusting the timing. You feel it when conviction rises, but you tell yourself not yet. You feel it when obedience is obvious, but comfort negotiates. This is not condemnation, this is clarity. Chosen one, understand this discernment that is not acted upon eventually dulls. Vision that is postponed too often begins to blur. Not because God withdraws, but because sensitivity fades when ignored. Let me ask you something that requires courage to answer. What have you known for a long time, but still haven't moved on? In daily life, this shows up in very ordinary ways. At work, you know a role no longer fits, but you stay because it's predictable. You've outgrown the environment, yet you keep shrinking to survive it. Each day, your competence increases, but your fulfillment decreases. That tension is not random. It is a warning signal. Financially, you may feel nudged toward discipline, generosity, or restructuring, but you delay because it feels inconvenient. You tell yourself you'll start next month, next season, when things calm down. But calm never comes. The delay quietly compounds stress. In relationships, this is even clearer. You know certain connections are misaligned. Conversations leave you drained. Boundaries are crossed repeatedly. Yet you remain because ending things feels harder than enduring them. Over time, endurance turns into erosion. This is where many confuse patience with avoidance. Patience waits while moving forward internally. Avoidance stays still while pretending to wait. There is a cost to remaining where you have already learned everything the season can teach you. Growth does not punish disobedience immediately, but it does withdraw momentum. You may notice things feel heavier than before, less fluid, less clear. That heaviness is not opposition, it is stagnation. Here is the danger zone when conviction softens into background noise. You still believe, you still care, but urgency fades. And without urgency, purpose begins to drift. The ancient words recorded in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15, speak with piercing relevance today if you hear his voice. Do not harden your hearts as you did in the rebellion. Notice the word today. Not someday, not when convenient, not after conditions improve. Today, hardening does not always look like refusal. Sometimes it looks like familiarity. You've heard the instructions so many times that it no longer moves you. You nod, you agree, and then you return to routine. This is not about fear of punishment. This is about loss of sharpness. Sensitivity is a gift, but it must be exercised. Let me bring this into a simple situation. You feel a clear prompting to change a habit, how you spend time, how you speak, how you rest. You ignore it once. Nothing happens. You ignore it again. Still nothing. Eventually, the prompting weakens. You assume the issue resolved itself. In reality, awareness dimmed. That is not freedom. That is numbness. But here is the hope, and it is real. Conviction fading does not mean access is gone. It means attention is required. The door is not slammed shut. It is waiting to be opened intentionally. You are not being rushed, but you are being invited to respond. This season asks for courage without drama, obedience without applause, decisions made quietly, but decisively. You may not see immediate reward. In fact, you may feel temporary discomfort. But discomfort is not always danger. Sometimes it is alignment recalibrating. There is a future version of you that moves with clarity and lightness, not because life is easier, but because resistance has been removed. That version exists on the other side of delayed obedience. Ask yourself this. Without judgment, what would change if I stopped negotiating with what I already know? You don't need to overhaul your life overnight, but you do need to take the next honest step. One conversation, one boundary, one decision, one act of follow-through. Momentum returns when obedience begins. You are not called to live in constant tension between knowing and doing. Peace comes when those two align. Not perfect peace, but honest peace. The kind that steadies you even when outcomes are uncertain. This section is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to wake you gently but firmly. Because staying still when you are meant to move forward is not neutrality. It is resistance disguised as rest. And you were not shaped for stagnation. You were shaped for progression. Movement does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it begins as a quiet decision made when no one is watching. A single step taken in honesty restores flow. When you act on what you know, clarity returns, resistance loosens, and the heaviness you carried starts to lift naturally. Each time you choose action over delay, your sensitivity sharpens again. You begin to hear more clearly, sense more accurately, and trust more deeply. Obedience retrains your inner compass. What once felt confusing becomes simple, not easy, but clear enough to move. So don't wait for perfect conditions, they rarely come. Forward motion creates its own confirmation. As you move, strength meets you. As you respond, momentum returns, and slowly, the path that felt stalled begins to open one honest step at a time. There comes a moment when everything you've walked through stops feeling random. Not because the pain disappears, but because meaning finally steps forward and takes its place. You look back not with resentment, not even with confusion, but with recognition. The isolation, the resistance, the silence, the waiting. None of it was wasted. You were never being hidden. You were being prepared. This is the season where the question changes. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and you begin to understand, "Why was I trusted with this?" You are standing at a threshold not into perfection, but into responsibility. Influence no longer feels like something you chase. It feels like something that follows you quietly, faithfully. Your presence carries weight now, not because you demand attention, but because you've learned depth. And let me ask you one final question that brings everything together. Are you willing to be seen without losing yourself? Because this is the defining shift. There was a time when staying unnoticed felt safer, when shrinking protected you, when silence kept you from being misunderstood. But now, the same restraint that once shielded you is becoming the foundation that carries you forward. Not into noise, into clarity. In everyday life, this looks grounded and real. At work, people begin to pause before deciding, waiting for your input. Not because you assert authority, but because you stabilize uncertainty. You don't rush conversations. You don't dominate rooms. You steady them. Financially, you move differently now. You're no longer reacting from pressure or fear. You plan with intention. Money becomes a tool, not a measure of worth. You are not flashy. You are focused, and that focus compounds quietly over time. In relationships, something subtle but undeniable shifts. Chaos no longer clings to you. Drama loses its grip. People either rise into honesty with you or drift away. The circle grows smaller, but alignment grows deeper. Peace replaces performance. This is what being crowned looks like before anyone sees a crown. Not applause, not spotlight, but authority without anxiety. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Romans in chapter 8, verse 19. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Revealed, not manufactured. Revealed, not forced. You are not becoming someone artificial. You are allowing what was always placed inside you to surface at the right time, in the right way. There is a future unfolding where your story becomes shelter for others. Not because you teach loudly, but because you understand deeply. You won't change people by fixing them. You'll change them by standing whole, by embodying what integration, healing, and steadiness look like in real life. And now, this ending becomes an invitation not spoken sharply, not demanded but placed gently in front of you. Some moments ask to be acknowledged, like leaving a smooth stone at the edge of a river, a quiet sign that says I crossed here. And something in me shifted. That small gesture is not for show. It's a marker for memory. Other moments are too valuable to keep private. Passing them forward is like opening a window in a dim room. You don't lose the light. You let it travel. Someone you may never meet could breathe easier because you chose to let it move beyond you. And if this voice, this pace, this depth feels familiar, staying close is not obligation. It's recognition, like returning to a fire you trust, not because you're cold, but because it feels like home. None of these choices are loud. None of them are forced. They are simply responses to resonance. As you step forward from here, remember this: you don't need to announce your arrival. The rooms meant to be influenced by you will feel your presence before they hear your words. You don't need to rush visibility. What is aligned surfaces naturally. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not unfinished. You are ready not because you have all the answers, but because you've learned how to carry truth with humility, restraint, and strength. So walk on, stand steady, let your presence speak. And when others feel calmer simply because you're there, you'll understand something clearly at last. This was never about attention. It was always about impact. What you carry now is not urgency, but assurance. You no longer move to prove anything. You move because alignment feels lighter than resistance. Each step forward confirms what your spirit already knows. You are walking in rhythm, not rushing, not hesitating, simply responding to what is true. There will be days when nothing dramatic happens, and those days will still matter. Quiet progress will replace emotional highs. Consistency will outshine intensity. You'll recognize growth not by excitement, but by stability, by how little chaos can shake you compared to before. You will notice how your presence teaches without instruction. people will observe how you pause, how you choose words, how you remain steady under pressure. Without trying, you will model what grounded strength looks like. That influence will travel further than any speech ever could. And one day, looking back, you will realize the journey was never about becoming powerful. It was about becoming whole. The impact you leave will not be measured by how loudly you were heard, but by how deeply others felt changed after crossing your path. Before you leave this space, pause for a moment. Not to agree, not to decide anything, just to notice what stayed with you. A sentence, a feeling, a quiet recognition that didn't ask for explanation. Sometimes that is all a message is meant to do: touch one place, not convince the whole mind. If something here felt useful, steady, or clarifying, you may feel an impulse to let it travel further. Not to promote it, not to prove a point, but to offer it the way you would offer water to someone who looks tired. Sharing, in that sense, is not noise. It is care. It's a way of saying, this helped me stand a little straighter, maybe it will help you too. And if none of it felt useful, that is also allowed. You don't owe agreement. You don't owe response. You can simply keep what resonated and let the rest fall away. Growth is selective by nature. Not everything is meant to stay, only what connects. Sometimes a message is like a mirror. You don't carry the mirror with you. You carry the awareness it gave you. If one idea made you breathe more deeply, or sit more honestly with yourself, that is enough. You don't need to name it. You don't need to explain it. You can let it settle quietly into your life. There is no pressure to act immediately. Some things unfold slowly. Some truths need time to find their place. Let that be okay. Trust that what matters will surface again when you need it. So leave this not with urgency, but with clarity, whether you pass it on or keep it close. Let it serve you in the way that feels most natural. Not everything meaningful asks to be spoken. Some things are meant to be lived, and that too is a complete ending.